Alright guys, welcome back to Underground Science, and in this video we'll be going over the patellar tendon reflex physiology. Alright, so let's go and get started. So there's going to be a good amount of drawing in this video, and I'll really try my best to at least draw it somewhat okay, at least we can somehow understand the body parts and what we're talking about, right? So let's go and get started. So let's say we have our hammer, right? That little hammer that at the doctor's office that we see, right? That little reflex hammer looking thing. Hopefully it looks like that. All right. And if we notice, so we're sitting down and our legs are hanging down, right? It's not touching the surface of the floor or anything. So let's just go and draw a generic form where we have our floor here, something, right? It's going to be actually terrible. I already just know that it's going to be a terrible drawing video. But anyway, right, let's say we have our chair here, all right? So let's say we have a chair here, and so it's just kind of like this with its two legs over like that, right? And then we have a person on it. So for the person, I'm just going to draw a leg, all right? So we're just going to have one leg there with no body, which is going to be kind of weird, but it's going to be weird, okay? So because we have to show the spinal cord. So the spinal cord of the person we're going to show right here as a zoom in. But then we're going to show the leg right here, all right? So we're going to be working back and forth just to get the basic idea down. So the person's leg, so let's just go ahead and draw, or really we just have to draw the quadriceps muscles and the hamstring muscles, right? Just in general. So let's say we have our femur, right here, like so. We have a humongous femur because a femur is actually a super big and strong bone. All right, and on our femur, let's say over here, we're going to draw our quadriceps muscle, all right? So it's going to be really bad, but just bear with me, all right? So we're going to have our quadriceps muscle right here. I'm going to try to draw it striated, all right? So I guess that's good enough to look striated. All right, so let's just say this is our quadriceps muscle in general. Okay, so it's our quadriceps muscle, all right? And then we're going to draw our patellar tendon, all right? So let's say our patella, somewhat like this, right here. And let's go and draw our tibia and fibula real quick. So let's just go ahead and say that our tibia is right here, all right? So about right here. So let me go and draw it this color again. Or you know what? Instead of to save time, let's just go and draw it straight up, right? Just showing that it's the tibia is going to be about right here. It's going to be our shin bone, and then our fibula is going to be right there. All right, our fibula. And so what's going to happen is that we're going to have some ligaments here, right? In particular, though, instead of a ligament, we're going to talk about our patellar tendon, which attaches our the bottom of our patella to our tibia. All right, so we're going to have our patellar tendon right here. So this is going to be shown as the patellar tendon. All right, and again we have our anterior and posterior cruciate ligaments and our lateral and medial collateral ligaments. All right, but we won't show that here because it's not the focus of the video. But just know that the patella is not just just chilling and floating here and there. It'll just go move anywhere it wants. It's actually held down by, held down by four really important ligaments. Again, those are the MCL, LCL, PCL, and ACL. All right, so and again, this is obviously not drawn to scale at all, like 0%, but just to get the physiology down, right? You just have to bear with me of this horrible drawing. But just know that the patellar tendon is connecting the bottom of the kneecap, or the patella, right, to the shin bone, or called the tibia. So let's just go and say this is the tibia. All right, so this is our tibia, or our shin bone. And also, if you go actually do some more research, you just have to look it up, is that you'll see patellar tendon, that's for the connecting the patella, the bottom of the patella, which is also our kneecap or our bone, to our tibia bone. So if you recall, ligaments connect bone to bone, tendons connect bone to muscle, or muscle to bone, right? So what that means is that this can also be called, or our patellar tendon can also be called our patellar ligament, since that's technically connecting bone to bone, right? So it can technically be called the patellar ligament also. Again, because it's connecting our bone, which is our kneecap, to another bone, which is our tibia. But you'll also see it called the patellar tendon also. All right, so that's that. And one other structure that we have to look at is our quadriceps tendon, which is connecting our end of our quadriceps muscle to our patella. All right, so this is going to be our quadriceps tendon right here. Okay, so it's going to be our quadriceps tendon. All right, so we have our quadriceps tendon that we just mentioned that's connecting our quadriceps muscle to our patella, right? In particular, rectus femoris muscle to our patella. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. And so let's go and get started talking about the patellar tendon reflex physiology, all right? So when we get hit with this hammer, right, this reflex hammer right here, we actually get striked right here on our patellar tendon, all right? And when that happens, we have a short and quick stretch of our quadriceps muscle. And the way we detect that physiologically is that we have these muscle spindles, right, in our quadriceps muscle that act, so these are muscle spindles. All right, so these are muscle spindles. And these muscle spindles act like stretch receptors. All right, they act like stretch receptors, which pretty much as soon as we get our patellar tendon striked by this reflex hammer, we have a short and quick intense stretch of our quadriceps muscle that are quickly detected by these stretch receptors that send signals to a afferent neuron. All right, so these muscle spindles are stretch receptors. When the patellar or when the reflex hammer is hit on this patellar tendon, when we hit the patellar tendon, it causes a short stretch of the short and rapid stretch of the quadriceps muscles, right? And then the muscle spindles pick up that short stretch, and they actually drop off those signals. These receptors drop off signals onto our afferent neurons. All right, so that we have afferent neurons right here with there's dendrites, right? And they come from the muscle and into the spinal cord. So what's going to happen is that, remember, in our reflex videos, right, in our poly and monosynaptic reflex arc videos and simple reflex arc video, we talked about afferent neurons kind of being like pseudo-unipolar neurons, where it comes here, it's going to synapse our lower motor neurons, but we said that our soma is going to be near the dorsal root ganglion. All right, it's not going to be actually in the gray matter, unlike our lower motor neurons that are going to have their soma and dendrites in the gray matter of the spinal cord. So again, our quadriceps muscle is stretched very rapidly because of the reflex hammer hitting our patellar tendon. Because of that rapid stretch, our muscle spindles pick up that rapid stretch, and they actually put those signals into the dendrites of this afferent neuron. Then we reach a threshold potential, right? And then we have action potentials that travel down this afferent neuron, which is pretty much a somatosensory neuron, right? That's picking up these stretch receptor signals. And so let me go and write this down. So this is an afferent neuron, and those stretch signals that come down this afferent neuron, and this afferent neuron is actually going to release neurotransmitters that are going to be excitatory neurotransmitters. So these neurotransmitters will be excitatory neurotransmitters, all right? And excitatory neurotransmitters meaning it's going to stimulate whatever postsynaptic neuron is there. So we're going to have a postsynaptic neuron, which is going to act like our lower motor neuron. We're going to have a lower motor neuron that's going to have dendrites and our cell body that's going to pick up those excitatory neurotransmitters dropped out by the afferent neuron due to the sudden rapid stretch. And these lower motor neurons are going to pick those signals up, generate action potential at the axon hillock, and is going to go back to this quadriceps muscle, and is actually going to drop off neurotransmitters like acetylcholine to this quadriceps muscle, and is going to tell this quadriceps muscle to flex. And so in that, when we flex our quadriceps muscle, we extend our knee, right? So when we flex our quadriceps muscle is used for knee extension, and our hamstring muscles are used for knee flexion. All right, so these are going to be also excitatory signals that are going to tell our quadriceps muscle to flex. So that's why, as a result, we're going to move our leg up that way. That's why in the doctor's office you flex your quadriceps muscle and you extend your knee rapidly. All right, but think about our hamstrings muscle. All right, think about our hamstring muscles, I should say, which are present right here, right? Our hamstring muscles. So if we think about our hamstring muscles, if we move our feet upward in this direction, so if we extend our knee in this direction due to flexion of the quadriceps muscle, we need our hamstrings muscle to relax at the same time, because if our hamstrings muscle flex also, then our leg is not going to move up, our feet are not going to move up, it's going to move down, our legs I should say, right? Because if our hamstring muscle contracts, we're flexing the knee, so we're going to move downwards. But in the reflex test, in the patellar tendon reflex test, we want our feet to kick up. So we need our hamstring muscles to relax at the same time that our quadriceps muscle flex. How do we do that? Well, over here, when our afferent neuron brings that sudden stretch signals down to our spinal cord, down to our gray matter of the spinal cord, we said it releases excitatory signals to a lower motor neuron that will innervate the quadriceps muscle, but then it also releases inhibitory signals to a lower motor neuron that will go to our hamstring muscle, and will inhibit the flexion of the hamstring muscle, so our hamstring muscle will have to relax. So what's going to happen is that it's going to release excitatory signals, but then we're also going to have another synapse that's actually going to synapse onto another lower motor neuron. So let me go and draw another lower motor neuron, which is dendrites. And this time we're going to release inhibitory signals. So it's going to cause hyperpolarization, right? Hyperpolarization, graded potentials, couldn't speak there, into this lower motor neuron. So then that means this lower motor neuron will then go to this muscle cell, this hamstring muscle, and will tell it to not contract. That way, our leg and feet can freely move up, and our knee can then extend. All right. So that's pretty much it. That's what the patellar tendon reflex physiology I wanted to go through in this video. I hope it wasn't too messy or confusing, even though the drawings were horrible. But I hope we actually got at least the concept down behind it. So that's all for this video. I hope to see you guys in my future videos. We'll talk about more cool topics about biochem, and physics. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, like, and subscribe. See you guys later, and stay safe.